Hi, it's Daphne. So in this video, I just wanted to do a really quick recommendations video for our DEKS Backlist Readathon. I know there are some prompts that are more like open, and I could just shoot out some quick book recommendations, author recommendations for you guys. So let's jump into it. So one of the prompts I thought would be good for Recs is BIPOC Authors. So some quick recommendations would be NK Jemison. She has a ton of backlist books. She's a Black author. There is Kennedy Ryan, my queen. She's a Black romance author. There is Toni Morrison. She is a Black author. The Bluest I didn't love, but people love it. So you can read this. You could read some of Beverly Jenkins' historical romance books. She is a Black author. Toni Morrison is also Black, but I didn't say. You could pick up a YA. This is by Christina Hammonds Reed. She is a Black author. You could also read some Asian authors. You could read some mangas, which would be by Asian authors. You could read, not this one because this is a new release, but R.F. Kuang. You could, I have more books above me, but I don't want to grab all of them because I don't want to get up. You could read She Who Became the Sun, which is by an Asian author. You could read The Sword of Kaigan, which is by an Asian author. So there is a ton of options. Reading things before 2000. So I know this one is going to trick people up a lot. I kind of forgot how long ago 2000 was. That was over 20 years ago. So that's a long time. You could read this one with me, which is tender, is The Touch. Pretty much if you find a used historical, just check it. It's probably before 2000, though I know a lot of them, people still post or write historicals in the current year we live in. Wow, okay, I just pulled my shelves apart. But for before 2000, you could read a bunch of classics. So you could read Dracula, you could read Frankenstein. This is more of a modern classic. I absolutely love this book. This is Lord of the Flies. This was written in the 50s, love this. You could read The Giver, which is a classic I also read when I was a teenager. This was published in '93. More classics, Little Women, Pride and Prejudice, and then Emma. Let me put my shelves back together. Another prompt is a YouTuber fave or a friend recommended. So I'm gonna list some of my favorite books and series that you could read. I'm gonna list these down in the description, all the books and authors I'm talking about, so it's easier for you to reference after you watch this. This one I talk about to death, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, absolute fave. You could read that. You could read Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation, great. Didn't love the first half, but it makes the payoff of the second half that much more worth it. Absolutely loved it. Obsessed. Project Hail Mary was also amazing. Don't look into it at all. Just go into it as blind as possible. Just know it's about a man that wakes up in space and he has to save the world. And he has no idea what's going on. So don't look up any spoilers, because there's something that happens in it that I'm just what is happening? And it was great. It just made it that much better because I had no idea. Another all-time favorite book that I never shut up about is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. Pretty much just pick up any Frederick Bachman book and you can count it for my fave, or something that I recommended. I haven't read all his books. I've only read 2 so far, but they are just so emotional and such character studies of people and human connections, and it's freaking beautiful. I just have to be in the headspace to be emotionally touched and sad and heartbroken and so happy and just all the feelings. So I haven't gotten to all of his books, but I plan on collecting all of them and reading all of them at some point. And then I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is also a solid pick. I wouldn't say it's an all-time favorite of mine, but I would recommend this. It's very well loved. It's a fantasy about a woman that won't die, but she's also never remembered as soon as people lose sight of her. So they could leave the room and come back and they totally forgot who she was. So it's really sad, but there are some cool plot elements that evolve in the story that I found really entertaining and would recommend. And then for the books that I don't own, again, you can check these in the description. I'd read the Hoop series by Kennedy Ryan. That is an amazing series. Check the trigger warnings. I love The Raven Prince. That's a historical romance. Actually have one more that I own. The Host is like one of my favorite teen reads. I read this when I was in high school and reread it like in the last 2 years, and I'm still obsessed with it. I love Ian so much in this book. He is my first book boyfriend, and yeah, I just love this story. I kind of wish she like wrote a second book in the series, but she said the world is like a dangerous world and she didn't want to kill off any of her characters. Love it. It is chonky though, so maybe not the best for readathon unless you read really fast. You could read the Beautiful Bastards series, which is like a fun smutty time by Christina Lauren, back when their writing was better, in my opinion. They've kind of gone like soft, in my opinion. I liked their older stuff. You could read Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. That's a good nonfiction. I love that. Heartless, I read that recently by Elsie Silver. So good. Second book in a series. It Happened When Summer is fun, and Love and Other Disasters is also really good. Book to screen adaptations. You could do Emma. You could do Room, which is like a thriller. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is also like kind of like a thriller, old school book. Little Women, Outlander, that's a TV show. You could read that romance series. Normal People, you could read because they have a TV show. And then Dune, obviously, has been a movie with our handsome hero, Timothée Chalamet. And then books with multiple POVs, like pretty much any romance I've talked about, if it's not written in first person, is gonna be multiple POV. Just like check the romances. Those are usually pretty good. Or you could try high fantasies. Those tend to be multiple POV, but that should be pretty easy to find. Books with one word title, I'm repeating a couple of them, but you could read Emma. I have this copy of Beheld. I have no idea what this is about, but my friend picked it up for me from like a used bookstore, so I thought that was really cute. So you could read that. You could read Bunny with Me. You could read 1984. You could read Circe. Those are a couple that were published before 2022. And then for indie published books, you could read the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I've been reading that for a while and it's really fun. You could read the Plated Prisoners series. I really like the first 3 books, but the 4th one, I've kind of like felt like the author's meandering. They don't really know where they're going, but it's still fun romance, fantasy story. So I would recommend it still. You could read a novella, king-sized. I really enjoyed that. You could read the Tempting Monsters series, which is really, really spicy and fun, like reverse harem book series, which I really enjoy. You could read a dark motorcycle romance called It Ain't Me, Babe. You could also read this other dark one, Does It Hurt? And then you could also read this other author, that's a Black author, Nothing But the Wolf in Me, which I also really enjoyed. So those are just a handful. Oh my gosh, all the books fell over. Those are just a handful of books you could read for the readathon for those specific prompts. I know there are a lot of prompts, but some of them are really specific for you. But those are the more general prompts that I felt could use some recommendations. I hope you have a great time with the readathon. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!